Urban legend. A humorous or horrific story or piece of information circulated as though true, especially one purporting to involve someone vaguely related or known to the teller. Urban legends exist in all parts of the world and are circulated from person to person. They tell of hauntings, murders, and can even be humorous as well. Some are true and others are not, or at one point were based on a truth. The United States of America is over 244 years old and is made of 50 states. Each state has its own story and culture to it, including its own urban legends. Urban legends that span a variety of supernatural and paranormal tales. From hauntings, cults, strange unknown beasts, to murderous killers, let us delve into the legends of these states. Welcome to Innocence Unknown. Spanning 1,500 miles of 137 volcanic islands, home to its own native culture, and was the 11th state to be added to the Union, Hawaii is a beautiful tropical paradise. An archipelago of dense jungles and sandy beaches. Many come to this state to vacation and enjoy its beautiful climate. Though it is the most isolated of the 50 states, it is considered to be the most wealthiest in the country. Due to its own native culture and their own beliefs, it has its share of urban legends and ghostly myths, one of which is quite terrifying. The legend is known as the Night Marchers. Said to only be seen on certain nights, depending on the moon and roaming particular areas around Hawaii. The Night Marchers will roam in step with one another, being the spirits of long-past warriors who had fallen in battle. They march in what many speculate is in search of their next battle to wage, or seeking entrance from our world into the next, or they are just restless souls seeking to reclaim their rightful territory, or even seeking to avenge their own deaths. However, it is possible they were warriors meant to protect high-ranking chiefs, and others so sacred that to look upon them would invite a death sentence. Thus the reason they only marched at night. They adorned themselves with archaic clothing and weaponry of the past. Some also carry torches to light their way as well. It is said they slightly float above the ground as they march, yet still leave a trail of footprints in their wake. You will know they are near when you begin to hear the sounds of tribal war drums and chanting as they approach. They will also give a warning when they are near by the sounds of loud conch shells. That is your cue to run and hide. If you are one of those unlucky enough to be caught within the path of these ghostly warriors of the past, there are things you can do to avoid a terrible fate. You must crouch down low, avert your eyes as best you can, and avoid looking upon them. If you make any sound or movement, it could alert the marchers of your presence, bringing about a grim fate. They are set on their path and will not allow any to interrupt their mission. It is believed that if you happen to be the lucky one and share a bloodline with one of these in the march, they will march on by you and avoid you altogether. They are said to march through areas of sacred ground, such as sites of the sacrificial temples. Other names and places where they can be found is Oahu's Pali, Kamehameha's school campus, and in the city of Oahu. Next time you pay visit to Hawaii, it may be best to skip trying to catch a glimpse of these warriors, or you could become one of their ranks as well. Admitted as the 43rd state in the Union, Idaho is a state that has been home to many Native Americans for thousands of years. It is the 14th largest state and the 12th least populated state within the U.S. and has been home to multiple industries including mining and agriculture, and is known for their most famous of all crops, the potato. Its rich history gives way to many a story and legends of its past. The state has been rumored to be home of several cryptids, most notably the famous of all being the elusive Bigfoot. However, it is another legend that is far more terrifying that claims its home in Idaho. The native legend of the Alhi Dwarves. The Alhi mountain range was once home to the Shoshone and the Bannock tribes. When settlers came to the area and began to trade in furs as well as mining the area in search of gold, the settlers found that there were areas of the mountains that the natives would just not go near. Or, if they did, it would only be during certain times of the day. Settlers found this behavior off and curious, and over time they began to experience many strange things in the area. They would hear strange singing within the mountains, and would hear tales of ghostly white horses that would only appear to help lead others back to safety when they became lost in the wilderness of the place. When those that were led back to safety, the horse would just disappear. Many would start to bear witness to strange lights on the mountaintops, and when investigated, the settlers would only find small footprints left behind, with no lights to be found. Eventually, the settlers began to ask and question the natives on what was going on, when their children started to mysteriously disappear. They would explain that it was all the work of the Alhi Dwarves, a race of small beings that would prey upon children, attempting to lure them away from their parents and homes to feed on them. These beings had tails for which they hid from plain sight and stood only 2 feet tall, yet had unusual amounts of strength, enough to be capable of carrying away a large elk. They were known to wander and roam across the mountains, always in search of prey, whether it be elk or human children. They would lure the children in toward them, and then the unfortunate child would never be heard from again. Today, the area is a popular place for hikers and tourists to visit, though it is quite damaged due to overmining all those years. People still get the urge of adventure to explore the area. However, it would seem these dwarves may still roam the mountains. It would be wise to be on your guard when visiting the place, and be sure to keep a close eye on your little ones, lest they become the prey of the Alhi Dwarves. Admitted in the Union in the year 1818, and the birthplaces of former Presidents Barack Obama, Ronald Reagan, Ulysses Grant, and the late Abraham Lincoln, Illinois is home to one of the most famous of all cities in America, Chicago, which was also home to the most infamous mobster in American history, Al Capone. The state is well known for many a landmark and has a rich history in of itself. It is also home to plenty of urban legends revolving the paranormal and the supernatural. One such legend is the story of Dug Hill Road. Located 5 miles west of Jonesboro, on the State Highway 126, Dug Hill Road is an old stretch of road that was used by locals to reach the Mississippi River. Though it has lost its rustic appearance today, in the 1860s, the road was a very dark and secluded spot that was well known to pose many dangers for locals traveling, and has earned itself the reputation of being the most haunted road in southern Illinois for many different reasons. In April of 1865, Marshal Welch had arrested and taken in 3 deserters from the Union Army during the Civil War. Welch was not exactly kind to these men, and they were held in Jonesboro. Just a few days later, word would reach that the war had finally ended, and the men were then released. Left angry from the affair, the 3 men ambushed and killed Marshal Welch on Dug Hill Road, and left him for dead. Local farmers and travelers would speak of seeing a man bloody wandering, or even laying in the road. There were claims from others saying he would beg for help, and when approached, the man would just vanish. Another strange story told by others is sightings of a spectral wagon fiercely traveling through the road. It is said the wagon would be moving quickly and led by one man whipping two black horses as the wagon would rise up in the air, only to vanish into thin air. It is also said to be home of a strange creature or other entity known as the Bogger. The story goes that a man needed to hurry to a doctor to treat his wife as she was deathly ill. It was late at night, and as the man was riding his horse quickly, he came upon a strange being that looked to be wearing a white shirt, a scarf draped across its neck, and standing 8 feet tall. The man sped faster on his horse to escape this being, and yet the being managed to maintain speed and keep up with him. He continued to move quickly until he had managed to make it to the doctor's house. The doctor had even said he encountered the thing as well. Fearing to travel, the doctor first refused to aid the man, but they eventually headed back, but this time, the being was nowhere to be found. And it is said this story may even just be the product of parents trying to keep their kids to be home on time before dark. Today, Dug Hill Road is known to be a local drinking spot. It is uncertain if these stories are true. It is possible that they may not all be made up, and taking a trip there may yield a little more than a quiet drinking spot. But a sighting with the Bogger Man, or a chance to encounter Marshall Welch. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Perhaps click the bell for notifications, and remember, hell is empty, and the devils are here.